Hello and welcome to the Cook Memorial Public Library Podcast. I'm your host, Nate Goss. As Thanksgiving is right around the corner and friends and family are preparing to gather, our Popular Services team and excellent readers advisors thought it would be appropriate to come up with some suggested book titles having to do with family. Books about those familial ties and relationships that make for great stories. Last week, 3 of our readers advisors, or Bookies as we like to call them, did a Facebook Live chat suggesting all sorts of types of books having to do with the family. They called the session All in the Family, and for this podcast, we wanted to provide you a slightly edited version of that Facebook Live chat so you can get some ideas of some books that you might like to read as the holidays approach. Enjoy.
Hello, hello.
Hello, everybody out there in the world. We're here doing Bookies Live, and we've got some great titles for you today. We're going to be talking about the topic All in the Family. That's our theme because we thought with Thanksgiving coming up, we're all thinking about seeing family, maybe family that we haven't seen in a really long time because of COVID. I'm Andrea Larson. Joe, you're next on my screen.
Hi, I'm Jo Hansen.
And I'm Marianne Charles. And this is my inaugural Bookies Live, so everybody please be really kind.
Oh, yes. You'll be great. We're excited to talk to you about some family stories today, plus some other just really good books that we love. So the first one, Book of Magic. Jo, take it away.
Okay. This book, just came out this year, and it's really the finale of Alice Hoffman's Practical Magic series. Technically, it's Practical Magic number 2 in the series, and you can read it on its own. And this is indeed a book about families. It all starts back in 1600s with Maria Owens. Now, she discovered she was a witch. She's the ancestral matriarch of the family. And when she is betrayed by her love, she is so upset that she enacts a curse on herself and the family and future family members so that whoever falls in love with an Owens woman will die. The first book that most people probably are aware of is called Practical Magic, which came out in 2003. And that's the one where we first meet the Owens sisters, kind of in modern times. And that's how I knew it. I started with that book, but then I started reading the other ones. And then with the final book, the Book of Magic, they are trying to figure out how to break the curse. It's very interesting. It ties all these 3 books together nicely, I think. It's also very tense toward the end because there's a lot of danger involved in breaking a curse. So yeah, if you see the Book of Magic, the new one, go ahead and read it if you want. But I would also recommend going back in order and reading them, as you can see on the slides, the magic lessons, the rules of magic, practical magic, and then the Book of Magic.
Well, what if somebody says, I don't really read fantasy? What would this isn't really fantasy, is it?
No, not at all. They're contemporary women, and even like the magic lessons going back with Maria Owen is really historical fiction, and it's largely about how women who had magic powers or witches were persecuted. So it's really about witches and the persecution they faced, and in this case, it's also a bad curse that they have to deal with. So to me, it's not really fantasy; it's more paranormal, I guess.
Okay. Next, Marianne. Oops, I'm sorry. The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave.
By Laura Dave. So, long story short, it's basically a story about a woman who insists on digging into her husband's past. But we'll give you a little longer summary than that. So Owen and Hannah, when we meet them, are this newlywed couple living on a houseboat in Sausalito with Owen's teenage daughter, Bailey. Bailey and Hannah have not been able to form any kind of bond. Bailey is your typical 15, 16-year-old, snark, a lot of eye rolling, a lot of I don't need another woman in my life. It's been me and my dad since I was 4 years old. Hannah and Owen have this really lovely relationship, this great life. All of a sudden, Hannah's hanging out on the boat one night. A young girl comes to her door, hands her a note from Owen that has this cryptic message, protect her, on it, which obviously means Bailey. And so Hannah's a little confused. A couple hours later, she sees on the news that the startup tech company where Owen works as a coder is being investigated for securities fraud by the SEC, and that the CEO has just been arrested. And there's all kinds of speculation in the press that all the other high-ranking people, including Owen, will shortly be charged. Hannah cannot get in touch with Owen. She's like, what is going on here? She picks up Bailey from school. Bailey stomps into the car, throws this duffel bag in, which happens to have $500,000 in cash, and a note from Owen saying, listen to Hannah, she's going to take care of you. So they don't believe he's done anything wrong. This is all a setup. He's charming, he's innocent. You read flashbacks from Hannah and Owen's relationship, and you see he's charming and he's lovely. Hannah's a self-taught interior decorator and wood turner. So she makes these artisan pieces of furniture, desks, tables, dressers, kind of things. So Hannah and Bailey decide, we're going to investigate. They have this U.S. Marshal from Texas come to their place. And you can't tell, is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Twists, turns, all kinds of stuff from Owen's past comes up. The twists are crazy, but they fit with the tale. It makes sense. And Bailey and Hannah are continuing to grow and develop their relationship. Of course, Bailey doesn't trust Hannah. I don't know, what is she doing? She's only been married to my dad for 2 years. She doesn't know him like I know him. I'm going to figure it out. And Hannah's like, no, I love your father and we're going to take care of you. So it also has this kind of mother-daughter relationship growing and their friendship growing. This is a really fast-paced book. The characters are resourceful. And I love that there wasn't like this romance in it, that it was more focused on this mother-daughter relationship and them growing to care about each other and love each other and make this family. So there's a mystery, there's a little bit of psychological stuff, and there's some suspense. It's a nice book. It's not high literature, but it's something you can sit down with on a Saturday and spend a day reading. And on one of those fall days we'll probably have, or early winter days that's gray and dark and you just want to sit with a cup of tea and get into a book.
All right, great. Well, the next book we've got is mine. It's Apples Never Fall by Liane Moriarty. Now, I almost hesitated to include this one because it is very popular right now, and I know a lot of people are reading it. But if we're talking about a family story, I just couldn't let this one go because it's been one of my favorite books this year. It's a mystery and a family drama all in one. We know Liane Moriarty well from her previous books, especially Big Little Lies, which everyone saw the HBO series, but also, they did 9 Perfect Strangers as a TV series as well. But Moriarty, she's got this real gift for peeling off the glossy veneer of suburban families. And she does it again in this book. Joy Delaney is 69 years old. She's the main character here. She's recently retired when she and her husband sold the tennis academy that they ran. And suddenly she disappears. So the Delaney's 4 grown children don't even initially report that she's missing to the police because they're worried about their father and they're worried that he might look like the suspect. But eventually they do. They report her disappearance to the police. And so then the story goes back and forth between the present, after Joy's disappearance, and the past, when Joy and her husband Stan take in a woman named Savannah. Now, Savannah is a mysterious stranger who appeared on their doorstep one day. So, and she ends up living with them for a while. So you're seeing that relationship going on within Joy and Stan's home, but you're also seeing their 4 millennial children and their reactions to all the unfolding events. First Savannah, then their mom's disappearance, and you get a look into the family's past from when the kids were small and a lot of the things that happened back then. Throughout the book, Moriarty, she just keeps the suspense moving, and there's a lot of great plot twists along the way. But really, this is a family story at heart. It's about the relationship between these 4 siblings, also between them and their parents' relationship with each other. Moriarty has brilliant insights into that stuff. And from the title of the book, Apples Never Fall, you see how the children's behavior mimics their parents, or you also see when it doesn't. She captures these wonderful little details of what it means to be a child, what it means to be a brother or sister. It's just a terrific book. It goes really quickly. One of my favorite books of the year. Highly recommended family story with a good little mystery in there too.
I really like this book too, and I think it's one of her best ones.
It is. I agree.
I liked it better than Big Little Lies.
Me too.
Yep. I did too. Let's keep going. Bait and Witch, Angela Sanders.
All right. When I was waiting for the trick-or-treaters to come, and they never did, I read a lovely cozy called Bait and Witch, The Witch Way Librarian Mysteries. And Bait and Witch is the first one in the series. Generally, I don't read cozies, but I really like this one. What happens is the main character, Josie Way, is a librarian who works at the Library of Congress. And one day she overhears a very powerful senator's aide taking a bribe for him. And she reports it to the FBI, and then they are worried about her life. So she just takes off. And then she accepts a job in Oregon at this little town, a library position. And basically she's hiding in this old Victorian mansion that is a library. And it kind of reminded me of the old cookhouse when it used to be a library for us. But it's fun. It's like all through the house, there's books. And while she's working there, she suddenly discovers she's a witch. And this black cat suddenly shows up and won't leave her side. But anyway, so that's kind of fun. She discovers she's a witch. I know I'm on this witch theme. I don't know. It just happened. I didn't purposely pick
the time of year.
Theme. It is. And so it's just delightful. In the meantime, she realizes that the library, the old Victorian mansion, is doomed, that might be bulldozed for a wellness center. So she immediately has to go into, let's try to save the library. So you got that going on too. And of course, there's a murder, and there's a little love interest too going on. So I really liked it. And, if you like cozies, check this one out.
Sounds good. I love cozies. So this is going on my list. All right. Not a cozy.
Not a cozy. Not at all. So Matrix by Lauren Groff, not to be confused with The Matrix by the Wachowskis. This is the story of 12th century Marie de France. So she was a real person. Not a lot is known about her other than she was a poetess and an abbess. So what we find out is that Marie is living in the court of Queen Eleanor of Aquitaine. Marie is illegitimate, not a possessor of great beauty, and a quote-unquote giantess. So what Eleanor does, since Marie is not going to be able to make a good marriage and add anything to court, sends her to a crumbling, poverty-stricken abbey in Britain. Marie is a reluctant prioress who eventually gets elevated to abbess, and along the way completely takes over the running of the abbey. She comes to love and understand and care for each and every nun in her care. This is a book, I think, about the family you choose, not about the family you are born into, but the family you choose. And Marie chooses to love and honor and take care of these women and the community. If you liked Circe by Madeline Miller, you would love this book. It's a complex book. It's really, you talk about character driven. completely character driven. I would also
Ooh.
recommend when you read this book that you have some kind of a device, whether it's a cell phone or a tablet, in order to look up some of the language, because there are a lot of 12th century phrases, words, terms. So it takes a minute to kind of get into what I like to call the cadence of the language, to kind of get the rhythm of the language. But again, talk about a book about a family you choose, which so many people are put in those positions.
Oh, that sounds so good, actually.
It's fascinating. And it's about female empowerment. I mean, really.
Excellent. All right. And for the last book, I chose My Monticello by Jocelyn Nicole Johnson. And this one actually does have some family themes as well, even though that's not really why I picked it. But first of all, I have to say this is a book of short stories, 5 short stories plus a novella. This collection, it really packs a punch. And it got published when she was 50 years old. She's been a teacher for her whole career, actually, and she's always just sort of written on the side. And this book was inspired by the Unite the Right rally that happened in the author's hometown of Charlottesville, Virginia, back in 2017. It sort of set off a chain of what ifs in her head. So all of these stories address the idea of what it's like to be Black, specifically in Virginia. All the stories are set in Virginia with African-American characters. It really addresses the idea of having a place be both your home, but also not like home at the same time. Because it's the experiences of, the author's self and her Black forebears in building up this great state of Virginia over time, but yet they truly never feel accepted there. The novella in this book is so good. It's a dystopian story where climate change and weather events cause blackouts and shortages. And so white supremacists kind of capitalize on that, and they begin to terrorize people of color. The main character, Denisha, and her grandmother have to flee their home when their neighborhood gets burnt down. They and a bunch of their neighbors jump in this bus and they drive to Monticello, which is, of course, Thomas Jefferson's home. Well, it turns out that Denisha, our main character, her grandmother is a descendant of Sally Hemings, who is the woman that Jefferson, fathered 6 children with. And so, of course, then that makes Denisha a descendant of Jefferson, too. So it's such an interesting juxtaposition, because here they are, all these people of color, they have fled their neighborhood and they're staying at Monticello, when in fact, some of them actually really kind of have a right to be there because it is their ancestral home. Sally Hemings lived there, just like
and
they
built
did.
by them.
Right. Yeah, it was built. Yes, it was built.
It was built by them.
It was built by, yeah. So that's just the one story, though. And I could talk about the others, but I won't. It's just the stories they're just really bold and honest and observant. Her writing is pitch perfect. And I would also add, I listened to this one. It is a terrific audiobook. It has a different narrator for each story. And it even includes a live performance by LeVar Burton on the first story, which is not to be missed. Really, really good.
So good. I just started listening to it. It's
amazing.
Awesome.
Yeah. I love the cover because, it just, you can kind of see like the flames at the bottom and the orange on the top. It's just, there's a lot of passion in this book. So those are all the books we've got for everyone watching us out in Facebook land today. Here's how you can find us as the Bookies. You can stay up to date on the latest titles on our Books, Movies, and Music page. So you go to our website and click on Books, Movies, Music, and we have lists of the newest titles. You can also subscribe to our newsletters where we'll send you an email and tell you about the newest titles coming up, and you can put holds on them. Also on our website, you can get to know us online. There are 8 of us bookies, so you can read about us and our reading tastes at cooklib.org/bookies. Or probably the easiest thing sometimes. Just stop by the reference desk next time you're in the library. Say hello, introduce yourselves. We would love to talk books with any of you. Happy Thanksgiving to everyone. So from all of us, take care.
Bye. Bye. Thank you.
All right, lots of great titles there, different types of books for all readers. So now you hopefully have a couple books that you may want to check out or tell your friends and family about. So if you'd like to check out any of these books, make sure you head on over to our website, cooklib.org, and search the catalog. We will also have links to all of the books mentioned in the show notes, so you can use those for your convenience. While you're over on our website, make sure you stop by our blog, Shelf Life, where we regularly post book reviews along with local history stories, genealogy tips, and so much more. That blog can be found over at shelflife.cooklib.org. And if you ever have any questions or comments or want to leave us some feedback, feel free to reach out to us anytime. You can send an email to webmaster@cooklib.org or talk to us on Twitter @cooklibrary. And if you enjoy this podcast, the best way you can support us is just by sharing it with those you love. And let them know that they can catch this episode along with any past or future episodes of the Cook Memorial Public Library podcast in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, or really wherever they like to get their podcasts. We hope all of you listening have a great Thanksgiving, and we will be back soon. But until then, keep reading, keep watching, and keep listening.